It is Wednesday, May 10th. We have left the Bight of Eleuthera. We have been staging at Royal Island, just outside of Spanish Wells. This is actually where we came into Eleuthera, and it's where we are now staging to exit the area of Eleuthera. It is time for us to move on. We are heading now generally back in the direction of going towards the United States. So far we've been going away. Now we've reached our furthest point. That was Governor's Harbour in Eleuthera. We are now heading generally back towards the United States. Tomorrow we will sail 60 miles from Eleuthera to the Berry Islands. We're going to Chub Cay. We'll be in truly deep water, 10,000 feet and more, sailing downwind all day to get to Chub Cay in the Berry Islands. And that will be our next stepping stone back towards the United States. So let's hope that the weather is as good as they say it's going to be. This anchorage at the enclosed harbour in Royal Island is really very attractive. It's very beautiful. It's protected on three sides, and it's easy to find good holding in about 10 feet of water. So it's a fantastic place for staging in and out, even though it's not particularly close to any specific destination. It's a really good spot. Voilà, le chef de cuisine, Monsieur Cavanard, and tonight we're going to have some grilled chicken, which Dan is lovingly preparing on our magma. Okay, so we've been going just under 2 hours. We're making some pretty good speed. I'm seeing high sevens, 7.5, 7.7, 8.0 knots, which is nice. We're going downwind. Our rum line today would be going dead west. The wind is blowing dead out of the east. We're about 30 degrees upwind, just to keep the sails happy. You can probably hear we've got the motor on. We're motor sailing. We've got a long way to go, and we don't want to come in after dark, so for safety's sake we're keeping the motor on. The apparent wind is about 8 knots right now. If the wind picks up a bit, we'll be able to shut off the engine. The sea state is gentle. The wind is more or less where we want it. A slightly different angle would be better, but it's okay. And we're just planning to make one jibe between here and here in our destination. We have the sails set for a very broad reach, and then we have the autopilot set in wind mode. You can see here the autopilot is keeping the wind at 145 degrees off the port bow, so it's 25 degrees off the stern to port. On the chart plotter, the blue line shows which way the boat's actually going, and you can see we're using a ruler to try and work out where we should jibe north. This is something the chart plotter would do automatically if our STW sensor hadn't broken, but since it had, we were trying to estimate it manually. There in the far distance is Nassau. This is roughly our closest approach. We're losing the wind a little bit, and we're trying to work out when we should jibe and head north on our second leg. Well, it's 1 o'clock. We made our jibe about 30 minutes ago, and now we're heading, instead of southwest, we're heading in a northwesterly direction up towards Chub Cay. On this way around, with the wind and waves now coming at us on the starboard side, it seems a little bit more rolly than it did when they were coming at us on the port side, but it's okay. We're about 4 hours from Chub Cay, I think, looking at an ETA of about 5 p.m, which is great. I'm going to be really happy to get in nice and early, long before the dark. The wind picked up just enough for us to be able to shut off the engine, so we have that happy state of affairs of making good progress without the noise of the diesel motor in the background, so that's pretty good. We're doing about 5.5 knots towards Chub Cay. We should be there around about 5:30 or 6 o'clock, something like that. We had an interesting moment about half an hour ago when all of our NMEA equipment stopped talking to each other. So that was pretty exciting. A bunch of alarms went off, but we just needed to reset everything and it was fine. That's something for us to keep an eye on. I will say that since the latest software update from Garmin, the Vespa Cortex, which is on that network, has become a much less reliable piece of equipment. Anyway, we are moving along steadily. It's a beautiful day. We're heading downwind with the wind 30 degrees off of our stern, and conditions are very pleasant. As the afternoon goes on and the wind freshens, Alvin the autopilot is doing a pretty good steady 7.0 knots. It's nice to be moving along like this so quickly and so smoothly. The waves have died down and the wind has picked up, so I don't know who I have to thank for that, but thank you. It's May 11th, as I said before, and I also said before we are now moving generally back towards the United States. Our point of greatest distance will have been Governor's Harbour on Eleuthera. We left there and staged once again at Royal Island. Right now we're crossing out of the Eleuthera Island group over deep blue water, heading for Chub Cay. And this takes us generally back towards the United States. Why are we heading back towards the United States, apart from the fact that it's a lovely place? Because of insurance. Because insurance companies have lost a lot of money on sailboats that were in the Bahamas during hurricane season, and as a result they prefer that their insured boats should not be in the Bahamas during hurricane season in general. And our policy stipulates that by June 15th, which is just over 4 weeks from now, by June 15th we should be north of the Florida-Georgia state line, approximately. That's why we have turned around. It's certainly not that we've run out of amazing things to see in the Bahamas. Quite the opposite. I mean, if we could, we'd stay another 2 years because there's so much more to see. But we're heading back because of this insurance reason. We have a pretty good insurance policy. We like our broker, Hugo Hannum Gross. He was very helpful, really practical, and sorted us out with a good policy. But nevertheless, we do have to get out of here by the time the hurricanes start rolling through. So off we go to the USA. We reached Chub Cay just fine. I'm going to try and show you on the chart which way we went. You can see we took 2 legs in order to be not running completely downwind. And yeah, we've got here, it's kind of a barren hellscape, as you can see. Nothing here at all. We will be here for a few nights, just sheltering from some strong winds, and then we will set off again towards Bimini, where we will be staging for our trip across the Gulf Stream back to the USA. But for a few days we're just hunkered down here, enjoying this isolated spot and the beautiful sunshine.